Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. Western Conference tiers today. We're going to break down the West, take a look at the contenders, the pretenders, and everything in between. I'm Trevor Lane, joined as always by Keith Smith. Keith, we're going to break down the West tiers. We're going to get into what this conference is going to look like. Going to be a crazy season, I think, at the West. A super tight finish we saw last year in the West, expecting more of the same. But let's get into our Western Conference tiers. We're going to break this down and we'll build this out together. Keith, I think I have a feeling we're going to disagree on a few points here. It is a rare occurrence, but I have a feeling we may disagree a little bit today. But let's start at the top because I know we're in full agreement here.
Let's start with, we could have done this and really made this the maybe shortest episode of Front Office Show ever. And been like, it's the Thunder at the top, it's the Jazz at the bottom, and everybody else is in the middle. And we'll see you next show. We are endeavoring here to put a little bit more effort into it. But yes, the S tier, which somebody let the old guys know what that means. Because we were like, I don't understand why it's S tier. Why is it not A or 1? But whatever. S tier team, that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They kind of stand alone, right? They ran away with the conference in the regular season last year. They won the NBA title. They weren't super challenged until we got into the finals with the Pacers. And here we are. They are, really the team now here. So look at this fancy.
Look at that
deal here. I love it. But for me, they're their own tier, and we called it S, the Thunder. Like, there it is. There's the tier is the Thunder.
Keith, I should note S tier, according to the interwebs, is the highest quality, most powerful, best performing item or entity in a ranked system originating from the Japanese academic grading system, where S denotes exceptional, above, and beyond a grade. So that's where, see, for us in the American grading system, coming from a teaching background, I'm used to A, B, C, D, and so on, right? S is apparently one above that. So there you go. I do think the Thunder are the S tier team here. I think they are the reigning champs. I have had people tell me, well, Denver had a great offseason. They should be up there. Denver took the Thunder to 7. I can almost get there, but not quite. I've got the Thunder standing alone. They're bringing back their team from last year, their championship team. They were the best team last season in the Western Conference during the regular season by a pretty solid margin. They wound up winning the whole thing. And until someone proves otherwise, I have the Thunder standing alone.
Yeah, it's hard to put anybody else in their class right now when you combine regular season with playoffs. Like, they were clearly the best team in the league last year. One of the best teams the NBA has ever seen.
Yes.
And I think as we get a little further away, history will treat them even better, and probably tweet about them.
Tweet about them too.
But like, it'll be, people are going to come back and be like, wow, man, that Thunder team, like, historically great, like, rolled through the regular season with an all-time scoring margin. Yeah, I was a little unfair. Denver did challenge them in the playoffs too. But they got there, they get it done in the end. So now we're ready to go to the next group.
Yeah, so let's go to the West contenders. And so we have not, in order to keep this as much of a surprise as possible, we haven't discussed this, but Keith, I have in my contender tier, I have 2 teams.
Okay, I have 2 teams as well.
Okay, we probably have the same. We will disagree later on, I'm sure. But
if not, this show is going to be very like, cool. These 2 guys agreed with each other the entire time. Thanks.
I think these are 2 teams that had 2 of the best off seasons in the NBA.
We have the same 2 teams.
It's the Houston Rockets and Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Why don't we start? Is there one that you favor over the other right now?
Denver, just a little bit, because we've been there, done that with the Nuggets. They've won a title. We've also seen this Nuggets team. Yes, they did make changes, but I think all the changes were for the better. I think they're just a little further ahead of the Rockets for me.
By the way, we left the Thunder, and I forgot to ask you. We've seen 7 straight new champions. Is this the year we break that trend?
I would bet the field over the
Yeah.
Thunder, but all things being equal, I think they've got the best chance to repeat. That's really unfair because I thought Boston had a pretty good chance to repeat
I
this
thought they did
past
too.
year too. Yeah, I mean, it's probably close to saying I think the Thunder will repeat, but I think history is against them. Things happen. Things happen when you play really long seasons and you
Mm-hmm.
play deep into June, which they had to do because the finals went 7. So I'd bet the field over them, but not by a huge margin or anything.
I'm in agreement. I would also take the field over the Thunder, but very, very close. This team is extremely good. But one team that could knock them off, certainly the Denver Nuggets. I mean, you have Nikola Jokic, the guy who I consider to be the best player in the world, and that is far from being a hot take. I thought they had a phenomenal summer. I mean, getting Bruce Brown, getting Tim Hardaway Jr. on veteran minimum contracts, I thought that was incredible work. So this is something that where I see this team and think Denver could wind up when the dust settles being right there in terms of quality. I thought one of their biggest weaknesses last year was depth. They added depth to this squad. I loved the Cam Johnson trade for them as well. I thought that worked out. And then to have a bruiser like Jonas Valanciunas backing up Jokic, woo,
Yeah.
Denver's not only got a great starting five, now they have the depth on this roster too. They are going to be a real problem in the West this season.
I think we all know the non-Jokic minutes have been rough for the Nuggets in the
Yeah.
past. What they need to be able to do is not Jokic leaves the floor and the Nuggets are plus 10. Jokic comes back and in there even. They need it to be Jokic left the floor and plus 10 and he came back in and they're still plus 5.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you gave back some ground, but you didn't give it all back. And that's what I think Valanciunas will do for them. I think he's nowhere near Jokic as a player, but I think we could easily be like, yeah, he's the best backup center in the league this year. I could definitely see us saying that at the end of the season with that. And then you're absolutely right. I mean, I think their big questions are going to be how much do Brown and Hardaway have left in the tank? I think they'll be fine in reserve roles. They're going to probably play 15, 20 minutes a night. With that, the single biggest question I have about the Nuggets is what do they do at backup ball handler behind Jamal Murray?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it looks like it's going to be Jalen Pickett. We'll see. Little less important for them because how much Jokic has the ball. You also have Aaron Gordon can handle the ball quite a bit as another big who can do some stuff, but that's probably their single biggest question. But this team's good. They're deep. They've kind of got everything you need to make a real run. They're just not Oklahoma City. I mean, that's that's
the knock against them. They're not OKC, right?
Exactly.
And I will say that if they need a backup ball handler, I don't look at that as something that would be particularly difficult for them to go find.
Agreed.
Mid-season. It wouldn't be the same as, hey, we need a starting caliber wing or something like that as your weakness on this team. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Houston Rockets, who I thought their big weakness was they lack scoring in the half court. You addressed that with Kevin Durant. I know there's still maybe some questions about shot creation on this team. Do you have enough creators? I do. I'm a big believer in Alperen Sengun and what he's done for Houston. I think he's going to continue to take steps forward for this club. I think that this is going to be a very, very good team that didn't lose too much defensively. Yes, you lose Dylan Brooks, and that does hurt to a degree, but I love the Dorian Finney-Smith signing for them as well. The way they structured that contract, I thought was absolutely brilliant with the non-guaranteed years in years 3 and 4 of that deal. I thought they did a really nice job overall. The Houston Rockets did, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Houston winds up being the team that is the true threat to the Denver or to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Houston, I thought had a phenomenal offseason, and I think this team is ready to roll.
With you with everything, I think with Houston, it's just a matter of we need to actually see it because they have not done it yet. I think there's a few more health questions with a couple of their guys than I have with the Nuggets. Again, if they're on the same tier, we're really kind of getting into the nitty gritty on why we like one team over the other. If they're on the same tier, we're basically saying these teams are kind of equal in our minds. So for me, I think with Houston, you said it, they needed more scoring. Well, they went out and got arguably the best scorer in the league in Kevin Durant. And he gives them the exact kind of scoring that they needed to have. So I think they're going to be really tough. I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be really good defensively again. They are going to be one of the better defensive teams in the league because KD is still a pretty good defender. And I think even now playing him more as like a helping four at this point in his career, I think is really big for them. I think I'm still in on Jabari Smith Jr. I know I'm probably going to be in on him longer than most are. I just was a big believer on him coming into the league. And I think Reed Shepherd is really ready to step forward and take on a bigger role
and
as well. I love Eamon Thompson.
Yeah.
He's incredible. I love Fred VanVleet and everything he gives them. Like this team, they're, again, deep. They're versatile. They've got a bunch of different guys. I do wonder a little bit if maybe when Durant misses some time, what's the scoring output going to look like? But I'm not any more worried about it than I was, like, say, a year ago with this Rockets team. It's, then they're going to have to rely more on Şengün and system buckets and those kind of things. But they're going to be really tough.
Yeah, I love this Rockets team. I think they're going to be very good. And we should give them credit, too, for the Fred VanVleet deal that they got done. I thought that was a really nice deal that they were able to put together. All right, let's jump into that next tier for us here, and that is the West playoff teams. So this is where things really get jumbled for me in the Western Conference, that there's a bunch of teams that I think we can put into the mix, competing to be right now what I would look at as the 4 seed. By the way, we should keep in mind that there was not a lot of separation in the Western Conference last season. So we got to remember that when we're splitting hairs to a degree with these teams. And ultimately, because the West is going to be so deep once again, there's a chance that, one sprained ankle could ultimately decide the final rankings in the West. We look at how the West shook out. I mean, look at this. Between 3 and 8 was 2 games. I mean, so
even if you put the Rockets in there, 4 games for
that's crazy.
7 spots in the standings is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, all of these teams are going to be very, very close. But Keith, I kicked off the last tier. Why don't you kick things off? Who do you have right now in this new tier of West playoff teams here?
Okay, so let's be very clear with the way this works with tiers, because I've got 6 teams in this tier, in the playoff tier. So when if you're doing quick math in your head, you're like, hey, genius, only 8 teams can make the playoffs. So you've got 9. That means those are the 9 teams I feel most confident in being in the mix to be playoff teams. So these ones I don't really have in any kind of firm order. Like I did have Denver ahead of Houston. These ones, actually, now that I look at it, I just put them in alphabetical order. Because that's probably kind of my way of saying, I have no idea. Put them in whatever order you want.
Sure.
So I think probably the most logical order here is Lakers, Timberwolves, Clippers.
Keith, you're such
Warriors.
a Lakers homer.
Yes. Noted Lakers homer me here. So I've got the Clippers in this group, the Timberwolves.
Yep. I'm in agreement.
Okay. Then I have the Warriors here. We know with the Warriors, we'll probably talk about it more here in a minute, but it's still very unfinished. We don't know, but assuming things go okay there. Then I have my other 2 teams in this group. I have the Mavericks and the Grizzlies.
Okay. So you have the Mavs and the Grizzlies in this tier. We are actually going to disagree. I told you it was going to happen.
Here it is.
We were going to disagree. It was going to happen sooner or later. Okay. So let's kick things off with, I guess we'll just go in order here. Let's start with the Lakers. I thought they had a pretty good offseason. We look at what they did. Now, did some other teams in the West have better off seasons? Yeah, the Denver, the Rockets. I thought they had better off seasons than the Lakers did. But I was impressed that the Lakers were able to check big boxes on this team in terms of perimeter defense with Marcus Smart. I still think there's work to be done there, but you go get a big and DeAndre Ayton off the buyout market after he got bought out with the Portland Trailblazers. You sign him. He was a free agent at the time. Jake LaRavia, I thought was a sneaky addition. I'm very high on him. I thought they did some nice work. Moving up in the second round of the draft the way they did, using cash to get a Drew Thero. I thought they did some real good work, and they really maintained, aside from the cash they put in the Adu Thero transactions, they maintained all of their future trade assets. So I do think there is, as Lakers president of basketball operations Rob Pelinka will say often, we'll talk about optionality. I do think they maintained most of their optionality moving forward as well. So I think it was a strong summer. But of course, Keith, the most important thing, the biggest box they had to check of the entire summer was signing Luka Doncic to a contract extension, and they got that done.
Yeah, and again, these are our tiers for this specific season. But why that's important for the Lakers, in my opinion, is it just now removes the question from being asked every single time they go to a new city. They would have been asked, hey, Luka, what's going on with your contract? Hey, Luka, what's happening with your deal? Like, now it's just done. It's done. It's over. He's with the Lakers, and you just move on. The reason for me to not have him on the Nuggets, Rockets tier, little older, they've got some injuries. They've got some question marks around. I'm with you. I think they added really solid depth, but how is that depth all going to fit together?
Yes.
Just a tick under the other teams. But barring some major disaster, playoff team, without a doubt, no questions asked. They're going to be really good. And for them, regular season wise, to be in this tier, not the end of the world, because this is a team that I think will be managing and getting better and trying to peak when the playoffs start. And you could tell me that they took out, I don't know about Oklahoma City, but if you told me they met Denver, they met the Rockets in the playoffs and beat them, like, okay, sure. Yeah, they have LeBron and Luka.
Yeah.
Not really shocked if that's how it goes. So, before anybody jumps all over, hey, they're too low. Like, come on. Like, they're in the third tier of teams here. Like, this isn't exactly low.
One of the things that I think is really interesting about the West this year, and I'm making this point to a lot of Lakers fans with Lakers Nation, is that, the Lakers finished the 3 seed. We talked about how close things were in the finish in the West this last season. The Lakers could improve as a basketball club. They could be a better team. They could be a more dangerous playoff threat this season and finish lower in the standings.
100%, yeah.
And that's just the nature of the Western Conference. And that's where I think we need to, because of how tight things are in the West, we need to some degree, separate the conversation of the quality of a team and the ranking that they finish in, the actual spot that they finish in, simply because things are so tight in the West.
It's like what I started, only semi-facetiously started the show with, is we could have done the Thunder at the top, the Jazz at the bottom, and pick an order in the middle.
Yeah.
And we'll run with it. Because again, the page you just had up, the Lakers were third, and they were 2 games out of the play-in tournament. Like, that's just a bad week.
That's just crazy. Yeah, one bad week.
And you're in the play-in tournament. Like, that's not a bad thing. So the rest of the grouping, the Clippers, I'm closer with the Clippers to saying they could maybe have been a second tier group here, but are they going to be healthy? Like, who knows, right? How many games is Kawhi going to play? Like, if you told me Kawhi's going to play 60 games, all right, but they're probably a lot closer to being a tier A team than they are the bottom part of this tier B. But that's the big question. But again, I like their offseason. I think they filled needs. Big thing with them is they had to get more size on the roster because it was Zubac and not much else last year. Now you have John Collins. I know a lot of people are like, is Collins going to start? Is he going to come off the bench? I don't think it matters. He's going to play a lot. You added Brook Lopez. I personally think Collins will start because otherwise you get a little too that's 2 guys now that need to play a lot of minutes off the bench at the big spots. If him and Lopez are coming off the bench, but I like those additions. I love having Batum back, getting Bradley Beal for what they got him for. Just an incredible pickup there.
Sure.
Value wise, you still have James Harden still playing at a very high level. I mean, here I am again, Trevor. Like, believing in the Clippers again.
Keep believing.
Like, just you can pull the rug out from under me at any point now. I'll probably be ready.
Wasn't it last year you were in on the Clippers 2 years ago? That didn't work out. You flipped over to the Suns last year. That was it. So when I look at this Clippers roster, I look for the price. You got Brad Beal. Is he the perfect fit next to James Harden in a backcourt? No, because you have some defensive concerns there.
Mm-hmm.
But for the price tag, the talent level, there you can't complain about that.
Huge.
I think there's going to be a lot on Chris Dunn to be a defensive piece in that backcourt. But I also love the versatility that this Clippers roster now has with John Collins in the mix. John Collins, our guy. You and I have both been high on John Collins for quite a while. I like John Collins in the mix. And I also like the addition of Brook Lopez, because now you've got, I think with this Clippers team, you've got the ability to play multiple styles of basketball. You can play a true big, ultra physical style to match, like when the Houston Rockets go double big and they've got Steven Adams out there with Sengun. The Clippers have the ability to counter that with their bigs of their own, whether that's John Collins that's going to be out there and provide a little bit more size than when they're running Kawhi at the 4, or if it's going to be, could you actually run Brook Lopez and Ivica Zubac together? Well, maybe Lopez's shooting does allow you to do that, not for long stretches of the game by any means, but specifically for those types of situational matchups. I think they've got a lot of flexibility now on this roster. The age is certainly a concern, but given the parameters of they wanted to be able to pivot in 2027, you look at their books, you look at how clean that cap sheet is in 2027. Given the idea that we're going to take this team and have essentially a 2-year window, I don't think you could have done a whole lot better than what the Clippers have done here.
Spot on. 2 columns to focus on here. The age column, whole lot of dudes in their 30s.
Yep.
In that column, some in their late 30s. Then the other column, 27, 28. Ivica Zubac, only guy under contract without some form of option that year. So that tells us this is a 2-year window for this team. And I think that also says we get to the trade deadline and the Clippers are playing pretty well and they're moving along, but they're like, boy, we really need one more defender. They'll go get it. They'll figure it out. They'll make a way to go get it, because they are not locked in anything super long term here. This is not a, man, we could really, put ourselves in a spot where now we're in rough shape for the next few years. I think this team is geared up and ready to go. So I'm here just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back.
All right, let's jump over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look, obviously, this team is going to be built around Anthony Edwards, and he is a rising star in this league, just keeps getting better and better and better. I think he needs more credit for what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball as well. But this Wolves side, they got something big out of Julius Randle, particularly in the first couple of rounds in the playoffs last year. You lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker. How big of a deal is that, though, for this Wolves side?
Yeah, big. It's big because now you are reliant on Rob Dillingham to play minutes for you off the bench. Terrence Shannon Jr. has to be big. You have to be a believer that Jalen Clark is really ready to take on a rotation role, because it's Mike Conley, Dante DiVincenzo, and Anthony Edwards. That's kind of it for guards and smaller wings on this team. Everybody else is like Jaden McDaniels he's probably a 4 that plays the 3 because they have Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. So now you're just going to be relying on those younger guys to give you a little bit more. I'm okay with that, because I think Dillingham's going to look pretty good this year. I think he was young. He's a point guard. He needed time to adjust to the league. I'm not saying he's going to be ready to start. I think ideally, if you were the Timberwolves, you would love if somewhere around the All-Star break, even if he wasn't starting, he was playing as much or maybe even more than Mike Conley, just because then Chip's passing in the night and you could phase out Conley, give it to Dillingham.
Pass that torch.
Yeah, and I thought Terrence Shannon Jr. played really well for them, especially at moments. He had a couple moments in the playoffs where he had some good games. And I think Jalen Clark gives them kind of a small wing guard defender that can give them a look. And I think they did a good job with that. So, but that's probably the single biggest thing that would hold them back is, do they have enough depth on the backcourt and in the wing to get there. But I mean, and as a superstar, Rudy Gobert has held his value, been pretty solid. Julius Randle was pretty good for these guys last year. Naz Reid is, Naz Reid, right? Like that's really all you need to say. So I think this team's really good. And again, another team, been there, done that now, right? Been to the West Finals 2 years in a row. And sometimes we see that is just you go, you kind of knock your head against that wall for a little bit, then you finally break through. So it wouldn't shock me at all if they make another run.
Yeah, me either. They could end up being the team that goes all the way to the finals. Like that's not out of the question here for this team. Now, moving forward, we look at this club, as opposed to like the Clippers, where we can say, okay, it's a 2-year window, tons of flexibility. They're more locked in long term to this group.
Yep.
Are there any tough decisions coming ahead when you've got this for this trio of Gobert? I mean, there's a lot of money to Gobert, Randall, and now you got Naz Reid on a long-term deal that they signed this year too. That's a lot of money at your 4 and your 5.
Yeah, 3 guys that you can only play 2 together at a time.
Exactly. So is there anything that's going to change here, or do you think this is just the core moving forward?
Yeah, I think you're kind of in a, let's call it a 2-year plus window, especially with Gobert and Randall, because they've got 2 years left this year, next year. Then they both have player options on that final season. Probably more likely than not, given age and where they're both at, that they would opt in on those years, but you don't really fully know that. But I don't think either guy's on a spot where it's like, oh no, those contracts are so far underwater, they can't be traded or anything like that. You're in a place where you could make moves with either one of those guys. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I think they kind of, outside of Conley, they've got their top, let's say, 4 starters locked in, plus their 6th man with Reed. DiVincenzo's only got a couple years left, but we'll even go to 7th man. And then it becomes what happens at the guard spot. Clearly, they want that to be Dillingham. It's why they traded into the draft and traded up to get him a year ago. That's where they want to be. But we'll see. But there's probably another move that could be made here. I think McDaniels is on a pretty nice contract. If they're like, boy, we're ready to hand more to Terrence Shannon Jr. or Jalen Clark, and we got to use Jaden McDaniels to fill the guard spot or whatever it may be. I think you could do that. We've seen Amp. He's a true shooting guard to me, but we've seen him play at the 3 some in the course of his career. So you could even go a little smaller, which you can get away with because you have Gobert and Randall, 2 good rebounding bigs, give you what you need as far as defense there. So yeah, I think they're okay, but yeah, I mean, this team's expensive. There's no there's no like, all right, we can clearly see this is set up for a 1 or 2 year run.
All right, we've got the Golden State Warriors also in this tier, and Keith, the Warriors, like everything right now as we're recording this is frozen as we're waiting for the Jonathan Kuminga situation. They haven't really done much of anything so far this off season, but we are expecting Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton. There's going to be some pieces coming into this Warriors roster. So let's assume all of that takes place. One way or another, we see resolution with the Jonathan Kuminga situation. I still think most likely we're going to see Kuminga back with the Warriors, but you never know in this wonderful league of ours. Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton, Seth Curry's another name. That if these free agents,
little news from over the weekend, Cody Martin maybe is somebody.
Cody Martin as well.
Interesting, just a slightly bigger wing forward for them that they don't necessarily have.
So let's say that they do round out this roster, and then you're still built around this core of Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Is there another title run in this Warriors team? And if not, what trips them up?
Yeah, I mean, the single biggest thing is they need to get to the playoffs healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can be, let's do the play-in tournament and make the run from there. We've seen these guys are very good. We've seen, obviously, Jimmy Butler do it before with the Heat. But I think just at their ages, you want to be a playoff team. Like, we're in the top 6. Ideally, things broke our way. We landed in the top 4. We had home court advantage, and we kind of move forward from there. The things that are encouraging is Brandon Podziemski didn't really take that big leap last year. he can get better. That's what you're encouraged about. I think Moses Moody, I think it took them a long time to get there, finally in a spot where like, okay, we kind of have an idea how to use this guy. And they got him playing more. Those are the kind of guys, along with maybe a little bit of Quentin Post, maybe a little bit of Guy Santos, a little bit of Trace Jackson Davis, where there's still room for improvement. At this point, Curry, Butler, Green, Healed, we know what they are. There's no, like, they're not getting better at this point. Like, those guys are established. We know what they are. Most of the guys are talking about adding, same boat. But I think the guys are talking about adding better depth. They're going to be in a really good spot. I think more functional depth. Remember last year at the beginning of the year, they were playing really well, and Steve Kerr's like playing 12 guys a night.
Yep,
and
I remember that.
People were like, look at all this depth. And I was like, yeah, but this is like 6 dudes who play the same 2 positions. Like, eventually something's going to have to give. And ultimately, in the end, they have enough in the front court. That ended up kind of hurting them. They had no real backup ball handling when Steph was out of the game. That's where I think better functional depth can help this team. I think that's why D'Anthony Melton can be a key guy for them.
Yes.
Supposed to be last.
Please stay healthy. Please.
Yeah, exactly. Healthy. Yes. And then I think Al Horford, if they can get him, what an addition that would be. Just fits everything they need. Still a solid defender. Got enough other guys. They can spot him through the regular season. Probably starts, but he's going to start and be on the 25-minute a night starting plan in the regular season. Probably won't play back-to-backs. He'll be managed throughout the year, and they go. But to really answer your question, can they make another title run? Things got to really fall right for them because there's a lot of questions here now, a lot more than the Warriors had even the last title team a few years ago. It's just they're not built the same way.
There's a little bit of a Clippers-esque element to this team in that they've got kind of this 2-year build here. Older players, these veterans that are trying to make one last run here. I can say though, Jimmy was really good for them last season. Looked great in the playoffs. Did his thing. Steph Curry is, I mean, obviously he's Steph Curry, and he's still going to be absolutely fantastic. Draymond can still make huge defensive plays, but the key is they've got to get to the postseason healthy, and they've got to get through a gauntlet of a regular season. And there's an element of that to all of these West teams that we're talking about, but particularly with an older team, it's going to be a bit more of a concern. Now, the other thing that I want to note before we move on to the next team is that depending on how this Jonathan Kuminga contract looks, there are some who would argue that Kuminga isn't the best fit with the Warriors moving forward. Others would say he can be, but I do think that in terms of flexibility ahead of the trade deadline, we could very well see Jonathan Kuminga, if he re-signs with the Warriors, as potentially a trade chip that they could use to go and address some other things on their roster. So I don't know that the roster as it currently looks, even with the pieces that we're projecting to ultimately land, is how this team will look at the start of the playoffs, because I think they could be a mover at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think we'll find out if Kuminga is moved here before the start of the season. What did they get back in return? That can't just be a Jonathan Kuminga was moved and we get back a bunch of young guys and draft picks, because Green don't want a bunch of kids, right? Yeah. Like we're ready to try to win now. Go get us guys who can help now.
And they deserve a shot to go try to win right now. All right, let's talk a little bit. I am so glad you put the Mavs in this tier. I don't disagree on this. I think we may even be a little bit too down on the Mavs in general. I think people haven't caught up to what this Mavs roster is and can be. I know a lot of people are looking at, well, Kyrie is not there, and so that is going to limit their ceiling. Maybe, but I loved the addition of D'Angelo Russell. I think he can be just fine as a stopgap while Kyrie is recovering. And then what I love about D'Lo is that he can play off ball as well. So when Kyrie does return, you could actually play the two of them together for spurts. And people say, well, D'Angelo Russell is not this or D'Angelo Russell is not that. If you were to, on a conceptual level, try to structure a team that was going to mitigate D'Angelo Russell's weaknesses while maximizing his strengths, that team would wind up looking very similar to how the Dallas Mavericks look right now. So I think that was a fantastic addition for them. Anthony Davis, please, again, stay healthy.
Yes.
If he could stay healthy, this could be one of, if not the best front courts in the Western Conference with Anthony Davis and Derek
Certainly
Lively.
the deepest.
The deepest, yeah, with Daniel Gafford as well. Of course, we can't forget about the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg. Very high on him. The versatility that he's going to bring. There's size, there's physicality, there's defense across this roster. I think the Dallas Mavericks. The big question is health, but if they can stay healthy, this team is going to be very, very good this season.
Yeah, what I like about the D'Angelo Russell edition in D'Angelo Russell edition, in addition to what you said, is that he is not going to, if it was D'Angelo Russell is going to have the ball all the time and is going to run 100 pick and rolls a game, I don't really like it very much. Then
Sure.
I'm a lot more shaky on it. The fact that, though, I think even when he is starting at the point guard spot while Kyrie Irving is out, and that is the expectation, is that he will start. I think it's still going to be, the offense is going to primarily run through Anthony Davis, with a lot of the secondary stuff being run through Cooper Flagg. I think they are very committed to, hey, for better or for worse, we're going to give Cooper Flagg the ball a lot, and we're going to kind of force feed it and see what it looks like. Because even if this year's a little messy, well, you know what? With Kyrie probably going to miss half or more of the season, it's going to be a little messy anyway. Let's just get Cooper Flagg reps. Let's get it going. Let's start on what we're going to be long term. Now let's get things moving with that. So I think they're good. Also, they've got some apron issues again, right? They're a little tight to the aprons and all that. But there is a lot of tradable salary on this Mavericks roster. So second apron hard capped. They're about let's round and be generous, 1.6 million under it. But there's a lot of guys on this roster that are making between 9 and 15 million. They're not over the second apron. So as long as they don't go over it, they can aggregate contracts together. There's moves to be made that can help this team when they get into the year. And if they're like, all right, D'Angelo Russell's doing okay, but boy, we really need another guard in here. Great, go make it happen. You've got the pieces that you can do that with. One thing Mark Stein wrote about this weekend, just keep an eye on a PJ Washington extension.
Yep.
If he gets more than a 20% raise off this year's salary, which is more than about 2.8-ish million, or he gets more than a 2-year, or more than a 3-year, so 3 total years, meaning this year and the other years added in, then all of a sudden PJ Washington's in a spot where PJ Washington can't be traded for 6 months, and we're already past the trade deadline. So just keep an eye on that one, where that goes. But Daniel Gafford's contract extension, very tradable, could be moved. I'm not sold that they won't eventually be like, you know what? But no better source than Nico Harrison said, we don't really have 7 years or whatever it is to try to win a title. In fairness, that was said before they drafted Cooper Flagg, so things have probably changed a bit there. But like, maybe they do trade one of the younger guys. Maybe Derek Lively could be moved in a trade where it is, you know what? We've got enough center depth. Let's go get a really big time. And in Lively's salary's not going to get you there, but he's like the big name coming back.
Sure, you could stack up some other contracts elsewhere.
So, yep.
But, yeah, I think this is a deep roster. This team is going to be a pain to play against on a night in, night out basis. And
going to defend, too.
They're going to defend. They're going to defend like crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the team. I do see, this is where we disagree. I don't have the Grizzlies on this tier.
Totally.
You do. You've got Memphis on this West playoff team tier. So why do you have Memphis up here with the West playoff teams right now?
Yeah, and they are the most shaky of this grouping. And if again we just start doing math, well, one of these 9 teams can't make it.
Sure.
They would be the one I would most likely say doesn't make the playoffs right now today. But I trust in John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and just kind of the overall Grizzlies infrastructure. They're starting the season a little bit behind the 8 ball. Zach Edey's going to miss some time to start the year. Jaren Jackson Jr., we'll see. But I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I mean, he's out of Orlando, so math and science tells me he will shoot better because that's just how it goes.
I'm a buyer of the KCP bounce back.
Yeah, I think KCP's got another good year in him at least. Jalen Williams, love him, right? I think he's ready to do even more. I liked that they put the ball in his hands a lot in Summer League. Yes, it's Summer League. We'll see. But I think Ty Jerome was a really good addition for them. Just gives them one more guy you have to account for on the floor as a shooter scorer. They've got a lot of depth in guys. I like the Santi Aldama deal to get him back in the fold. I think he's a key guy, especially if Jackson and Edey are going to be out or limited to start the year. So I'm just still there with the Grizzlies. I don't want to come off them too early.
I understand not wanting to come off of them, and they are, like I said, they're borderline to me. It's the, Jaren Jackson Jr. already dealing with an injury, Zach Edey already dealing with an injury, and maybe it's a little bit of that lingering effect of the Grizzlies squad that we saw a couple of seasons ago that were just, just decimated by injuries. They've had some
3 different guys, I think, played in the game.
Unreal, like just insane stuff. So there's that as well. But I like this Grizzlies team. I just don't love this team. I just can't put them on that same tier as some of these other clubs. Now, John Morant, maybe he bounces back in a big way. He's tough to deal with on a night in, night out basis. I do like Zach Edey and what he can be in the second year. But again, I think it's really the injuries that's holding me back that we're already seeing for this club. I like the Santi Aldama deal. I like that they've got the team option there. So you've got the built-in flexibility with that. Jalen Wells is going to be very, very important for them moving forward too. But I just don't know. I think losing Desmond Bane hurts them a lot in the scoring department. I think KCP, they bought low on him. I think he will bounce back this year. But I'm concerned about the Grizzlies, their scoring opportunities that they're going to have this year. And I just don't think they're of the same quality as some of these other teams, particularly if injuries do start to pop up, and they already are. So that's got me concerned.
Yeah, and let's be fair, John Morant hasn't always been the picture of health. Take out all the other stuff. Even with that, there's been injuries a couple different times for him. But I'm gonna do a little, let's throw down the gauntlet. Let's go, John Morant. Let's get back to being all NBA.
Yeah.
Superstar in the league, John Morant. Like, there's no more Desmond Bane. Like, this team needs you, and I think it's in there. I'm still a big fan of John Morant, still a big believer in him. Let's go. Let's get there, because if he can do that, then I feel really good about their chances of being a playoff team. Just, I'm with you. There's a lot of questions.
By the way, big picture, I like the Des Bane trade for the Grizzlies. Yes. I think that they'll be able to, the capital they got, the draft picks they got, I think they'll be able to turn that into some stuff that will ultimately move them forward, just as they sit right now. I don't have them in this West playoff team tier. You do. And again, totally understandable. I think you can make that argument. All right, let's go to the play-in teams. Who do we have here? Is it everybody except Utah?
Yeah, so it's which is, there's only a couple.
Right.
So it's San Antonio, Portland, and Sacramento. I just, in fairness of not wanting to leave the Jazz all by themselves in a tier, I put New Orleans and Phoenix in that bottom group.
Okay, I was going to say, what about the Suns and the Pelicans? All right.
Yeah, and we'll get to them when we get to them. But these are the teams I think we could see in the play-in tournament. Again, if you're doing math, you're like, dude, this guy can't do math. He's still one too many. But these teams are going to be in the mix all year long to be in the play-in tournament. If everything goes right for the Pelicans for the, umpteenth year in a row, if the Suns find better harmony, I guess, I don't know, maybe they'll be in the mix to be play-in tournament teams too. Just don't necessarily see it myself. So Spurs, love everything about where the Spurs are going. Yeah. Just not quite there yet.
That is what I think is going to get the most disagreement here from the crowd, the audience, because I've seen a lot of people already bumping the Spurs up to that next year. But I'm actually with you. I just want to see it first.
Like, who are you taking out of that group? Like
Memphis.
Okay, fine. You put them in the next year, but that's still, you're the 9th team of 8 playoff teams. So you're still not a playoff team. Right? Even if you put them in front of Memphis, you'd have to put them in front of Memphis, Dallas. Also, let's be very realistic. One of those top teams is just, everything's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
They're going to have injuries. Just stuff's not going to work. And they're probably not going to end up being very good. That's just how it generally works. It's how you end up with teams in the lottery that you didn't expect, like the Mavericks. Came off the NBA Finals, and then just everything kind of went sideways on them, and they fell way down in the West. So, yeah, the Spurs could definitely climb in there. No, not going to argue, not going to fight about that too much. I don't know, man. I'm like, I like the Spurs. I'm just not ready yet to put them there.
Fox and Wemby, not quite enough, even with the young talent they've got on this team. Dylan Harper, you've got
young
Stephon
guard
Castle.
group going to fit, right? Fox, Harper, Castle. You know, I have a lot of shooting there. It's a lot of pressure on Devin Vassell. Like, I like the Spurs. Don't get me wrong. And I think I think this is the last year we're going to have any questions about it. I think after this season, they'll have made other moves. Plus, Wemby's so incredible. They might be more towards the top of the playoff team tier B. But for now, I think playing tournament, and also that's not like a bad. They haven't even made the playing tournament yet,
right?
With this kind of grouping, so it's not like a bad step forward for them.
Yeah, and ultimately, I am with you. By the way, I do not have the Spurs in my next tier up. I just want to see it first. I want to see them get to that level before I'm going to get there. But I think of these teams that we're talking about here, San Antonio, Sacramento, Portland, New Orleans, Phoenix, and the Jazz, if any of those 6 teams is going to do it, it's San Antonio. That's the team that would make that next step up. Okay, let's talk now. I disagree with some of this, so I'll go to the other part that I agree with. Portland. I think Portland made some strides last season, particularly towards the end of the season. They decided to move on from DeAndre Ayton, but that just means it's Donovan Clingan time. Let's go. I'm excited about that. I think they're ready to take this next step forward. Drew Holiday brings you that veteran. Now, Damian Lillard, that'll probably be next season, but I do think Portland is a team on the rise. Jumani Kamara, this is a club that you've got him on the way. You've got these pieces here that I think is going to allow Portland to be, well, I don't think they're going to be a serious threat in the West. I don't have them jumping up into that playoff team. I think they're the team that on any random night against any other West team, they can beat you if you're not fully prepared. If you go into Portland and you're thinking, oh, it's the Blazers again, we're just going to go in here and win, they're going to beat you.
100%. You're going to need to show up to beat them. I think with them, and I think the Kings are the same way, because I think the Kings are going to score a lot of points. I think they're going to be, if you show up and you're not like ready to play, you're going to lose those games. And that's different than where we've been in the past with those teams, more recently with the Trailblazers than the Kings. But yeah, I think those teams are pretty well set to make a real run here at being play-in tournament teams. I just think, again, the West is tough. If any of these teams, these 3 teams, and probably New Orleans and Phoenix are in the East, be like, yeah, they probably make the play-in tournament at least, maybe even the playoffs if they, things really fall right. The realism is you're in the West, so good luck. Like, again, teams in the West are so good, and even again, if you're even like, man, you're a little too high on Memphis, Keith. Like, why are you so high on them compared to these teams? All right, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you too much. Like, you're going to make a fair argument for these guys, but they're just not quite there, to be playoff teams.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. I'll show you the one change that I would make here, and that's this. I am out on Sacramento this year. I was in on them last year. I'm out on them this year. Keith, there's talks about maybe they're going to sign Russell Westbrook, and I thought Russ was good for the Denver Nuggets last year, but it's too many guys who their base skill set is putting the ball in the basket. There's way too much duplication on that roster. We've talked about it before on the show. I think they need to find a way to clone Keon Ellis. They need like 4 more Keon Ellis, or Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray. You need like 4 more of those guys and less guys who are at their best when they're putting the ball in the basket. And by the way, I think Zach LaVine had a really good year last. A lot of people don't understand how good Zach LaVine was last year, but DeRozan, Sabonis, Malik Monk, it's too much duplication for me. There are going to be nights where they're all scoring and they're hot and they're going to be a lot of fun, but I just don't see a path to success for this Kings roster. I would take a team that's a bit more well-rounded over them, and so I would bump them actually into my lower tier. But frankly, I think you could make an argument for this to look different with 5 teams in the play-in tournament tier, and then the Jazz as being the lone team at the bottom too.
100%. Yeah, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to have two one team tiers.
Got it.
With the Thunder by themselves and then the Jazz by themselves. But again, that's kind of how the West feels to some extent. Because if you want to make a passionate case that, hey, New Orleans with these other guys out of here, and this is how it's going to look, like I think they're going to go. My problem with the Pelicans is I have no idea if they're going to be even remotely healthy. So if they're not, they're not. Yeah, if they're not healthy, then
if you tell me that Zion Williamson is going to play 67 games, I probably bump them up a tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I mean, that's but we don't know. We don't know with the Pels, with the whole situation.
Right? Yeah, no idea what he'll be. We have no idea what even a guy like Trey Murphy, who I know we both like, he is had injuries and missed time. Herb Jones missed most of the last season. Now I think some of that was probably them being like, we don't really need you to come back this year. So the guard position is, oddly enough, we went from talking about the Pelicans or, do they have too many players to now it's like, who's going to be the guards on this team outside of Jordan Poole? I like Jose Alvarado, but he's more of a backup. Jeremiah Fears, like, where's that going to go? I think they're probably going to start a little big and get by with Williamson, Murphy, and Poole doing most of the ball handling around Herb Jones and second year Yves Missi. And then Alvarado doing his thing off the bench. There's players I like here. I just think it's going to take them a while. And then with Phoenix, I just think Phoenix is resetting in a pretty big way.
Yeah.
I think the Suns are in a spot where they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be terrible. Like, I just don't think they're going to win like 20 games. I just don't think they're going to be very good. I think the Suns have real question marks about how are they going to score enough outside of Devin Booker? I think Jalen Green is pretty good, but he's had inconsistent moments, right? The rest of the offense is a little shaky. What's the big man depth going to look like? How long before someone emerges from a team that had no centers to now they have 3 that can all play? What's that going to look like? I just think they're in a spot where it's just going to look a little bit different. And I think this is team set up to take a step back to then take steps forward a year or two from now as everything kind of resets around Devin Booker, Jalen Green, if he's going to be a part of it long term. But again, like every other team that's not Utah, playing tournament, sure. I just don't think they're going to be a playoff team. And I think it's more likely that they say, hey, you know what? We made a bunch of trades and we dropped. Now they don't have the benefit of, they're not going to purposely do that because I don't think we're in a position for the Suns just because of their draft pick situation to say, hey, let's fall all the way out. But I don't know. I just think it's a little bit messy for them.
Okay, so if we're looking at true lottery team tier, we've got the Pels, we've got the Suns. Now, what about we've kind of been dancing around it. I do think that even though we've got them in the same tier as the Suns and the Pelicans here, I do think there is a difference between the Suns, the Pelicans, and the
100%.
Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
I would be more, I know you didn't want to leave them by themselves, and that's very kind of you. I would be
well,
more.
let me do a little behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
I did initially have the Pelicans and Suns in the C tier, and I was like, part of it was when we do the East, you'll see, I only wanted one team tier in each conference. And, well, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. I want you to watch the East version too when we do this. I have one team all by themselves as well. The spoiler we'll give it is not at the top or the bottom of the conference. But that's all I'm going to say. So I was there initially, and then I was like, I don't want them to be there by themselves. But you're 100% right. The Jazz are self-owning. They're not there. Like, they are in asset collection mode, figuring this thing out, building it back up. And that's not even a criticism.
No.
Like, that's fine. Do it. Like, good. That's what you should be doing. I have no issues at all with where Utah's at.
Does I guess this is where we can talk a little bit about Utah and what they can do here, because they are in asset acquisition mode, and again, nothing wrong with that. They'll get a nice high draft pick this year, I would expect. They're going to be building moving forward. My question, though, is with Lauri Markkanen, who's looked great with his national team this summer.
Really good.
Does he finish the season on the Utah Jazz, though? Is he a core piece for the future? I mean, now we're going into his age 28 season. This is a team that looks like they're building for the future. What is his future, and is it with the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, and now look at it. Take out Nurkic, Anderson, Niang, and Love, who are all there. They're all on expiring or pseudo-expiring contracts. They were all acquired more as contractual moves than anything else. Every other guy on this team's in his early to mid-20s, and Ace Bailey's not even there yet. He's still a teenager. So clearly, Markkanen kind of stands out as the mid-career guy, and it's like, does he make sense? I'm gonna say yes, he's still on the Jazz, only because I think the Jazz are going to be in a position where I think Markkanen's okay with this. Problem is, if we're going into a year from now, we're having the same conversation as a move forward, then it's gonna be, all right, we got to move him, because like now it doesn't make sense. But if, let's say they're like Portland, where it is, they kind of pop in the second half. And it's like, all right, Ace Bailey's that dude, right? He's the guy that there were questions, could he challenge Cooper Flagg at the top of the draft back before the college season? And he's been that good. And Cody Williams figures it out. And Isaiah Collier's playing well. And Keontae George, and just the young guys start figuring out. Then it's like, all right, now we can run another year and start taking meaningful steps forward to competing for the play-in tournament. But yeah, all that said, it would not shock me if it was like, oh yeah, Markkanen get traded, because yeah, I guess why not? Like, it's not like, sure, they're fully rebuilding. I mean, he's also the only guy on the team outside of Nurkic who makes more than $19 million, which is also kind of crazy. I mean, they are set up to really be in a spot where it is, here's, $100 million in cap space, or wherever they're realistically going to be a year from now, and let's move forward with trying to add the pieces. So I don't know. This is just a big development year, I think.
Do we see anything happen with Walker Kessler, or does he hit restricted free agency and then, sail those troubled waters?
I think he might be the next one who doesn't get something done. Only because, well, two reasons. One is I think he might want a little bit more than what the Jazz are comfortable giving him. And just given the uncertainty of the entire roster here, then I think the other piece for Walker Kessler is, I think there's going to be a little bit of, hey, you kind of messed around with me a year ago. I was in the starting group. I was out of the starting group. I was a core guy. I wasn't a core guy. What's going on? And I could see a little bit of hesitation on his side of locking in long-term too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that'll be something to watch there for Utah. But again, at least given how incredible the West is going to be and how tightly contested it's going to be, at least Utah, they could say, hey, we're staying out of that whole mess now.
We know to start the year.
Some of you guys are gonna be dropping back down when we're on the rise. So we're gonna let all this congestion kind of alleviate itself, and then we're gonna make our push. So again, not trying to criticize the Jazz or anything like that. I just think it's fair to not have them in the same tier as some of these other teams. All right,
there it is.
I think we did it. We got through our West tiers. Everybody, let us know in the comment section. Do you agree with these tiers? What would your tiers look like?
Yeah, who are we too high? Who are we too low on?
Yeah, where do you disagree? Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe right here on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. And we will be back shortly with our Eastern Conference tier breakdown as we look ahead to the NBA season. Thank you again, everybody. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.